Hi guys, I Aziz welcome you to CoedMaster, and in this video I am going to talk about aggregation relationship in object-oriented programming. In this video I will explain what is aggregation relationship, how to model aggregation relationship, and what are the key characteristics of aggregation relationship. So if you are willing to learn what is aggregation relationship, then this video is for you. So make sure to watch this video till the end. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Alright guys, let's begin this video. So let's start this video with the very first question, that what is aggregation relationship? Well, aggregation relationship is a kind of relationship which represents weak relationship between objects or real world entity in object-oriented programming. So I think it is better to understand this relationship using real world analogy. So let's look at this diagram. So here we have real world entity, that is a car. And then we have a real world entity, that is a passenger and driver. Now we have to model relationship between car, passenger and driver. So in case of aggregation relationship or weak relationship, we use a empty diamond or blank diamond to represent aggregation relationship between car and passenger. Okay. Similarly, we use blank diamond or empty diamond to represent aggregation relationship between car and driver. Now the question over here is why we are calling this relationship as aggregation relationship and why we are calling it weak relationship. So guys, there are some key points or characteristics that defines this type of relationship. So let's have a look at all the key points one by one. So first of all, this type of relationship is called has a relationship or part of whole relationship. So we can say that car has passengers and car can have multiple passengers, okay? And similarly, car can has only one driver, okay? But we can also say that passenger and driver is a part of car, right? So that is why we call this relationship as has a relationship, or this relationship is used to represent has a relationship, okay? And now the next point is why we call it weak relationship, and there are many reasons for calling this relationship as a weaker relationship. Now the first point is a part can exist without the whole. So this is really important point, that passenger can exist without car and driver can exist without car, right? It makes sense because passenger can take another car also and driver can drive another car also. So which means that both the passenger and driver can exist without car, and each of these entities or object can have its own life cycle. So which means passenger is born and passenger can die. Similarly, driver is born and driver can die. So there is no connection between the life cycle of car and the life cycle of passenger and driver. And the third point is each part can survive individually. And this is also true. So for example, if we destroy car, it doesn't mean that it will destroy all the passenger and it will destroy all the drivers. There is no connection between car and passenger and driver. But as driver and passenger can sit inside a car to drive the car or to travel from one place to another, we can say that there is a weaker relationship between car, passenger and driver. So car has one or more passenger and car has one driver. Now the next point is there is a ownership in this type of relationship. Now here ownership refers to the parent. So which means that in this type of relationship there is a parent always. So in this case car is a parent, and we can say that passenger and driver is a part of car. So we can say that car is a parent in this relationship. So guys, this is all about aggregation relationship in object-oriented programming. So I have shown you that how to model the aggregation relationship using UML, and I have also shown you what are the key characteristics of aggregation relationship in object-oriented programming. So now let me take you to my IDE to actually show the hands-on demo of how to model this type of relationship using objects. Okay, so we are on the IDE. So now to model the relationship between car, passenger and driver, first we need to create the classes for driver, passenger and car. So let's create one new class with the name car. Okay. Now let's create new class for passenger. And then let's create a new car for driver. Now driver has one name. So let's define one property for the name. Okay, string name. Okay, right. Now let's create one constructor to initialize the name of the driver. Similarly, passenger also has one name. So let's define one property of type string name, and let's create constructor to initialize this property of the passenger class. Now we have passenger and driver. Now let's go to car. So the car can also has one name associated with it. So let's create one property for the name of the car. So let's create one property for the name of the car, that is string and the name. Let's create a constructor to initialize the name of the car, and we are done. Now we want to associate passenger with the car and the driver with car. So let's create two more properties. First is going to be the list of passengers, right? List of passenger, because a car can have multiple passengers, right? And let's refer this list of passenger using a variable passenger, and let's initialize the passenger variable with the new list of passengers, right? Passenger, right? Now let's define one more property to store driver into the car. Okay, so the type of variable is driver and the driver. Okay, so we have defined two properties, one is for list of passenger and one is for driver. Now let's define one method to add passenger into this car object. So let's name it add passenger. Okay, passenger, and this method gets an object of passenger. So let's write passenger p and then use passengers dot add p. Okay, so this is how we are going to add passengers to this car object. And then let's define one more method with the name add driver. Okay, now driver method also takes one object of driver. Let's reference this object with the variable d, and let's add driver is equal to d. So this is how we can add one driver to this car, and we can add multiple passenger to this car. So our modeling is done. Now let's create a new object of passenger, car and driver. So let's first create a new object of passenger is equal to new passenger. Give it a name. So let's say the passenger name is Aziz. Okay, let's create one more passenger, and this is going to be passenger 1 and this is going to be passenger 2. Now the name of passenger is Rahul. Okay, now let's create one driver. So let's call driver is equal to new driver. Now give it a name. Now what is the name of driver? Let's give it Joy. Okay, now let's create an object of class car. Give it a name, car is equal to new car, and let's give it a name of this car. So let's say BMW. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to add passenger and driver to this car. So let's call car dot add driver, and the driver is driver. Okay, and let's add passenger to this cars. Let's add passenger to this car. So car dot add passenger, and the passenger is number 1 passenger is passenger 1, and the number 2 passenger is passenger 2. Okay, now let's print the object of car on the screen. Let's run the program. You can see that the address of car object is printed on the screen. So what we have to do, we have to override the toString method to represent the car object in the form of string. Okay, so this is how we are overriding the toString method to represent passenger, driver and car in a form of string. Okay, similarly let's do here also. Let's override toString method to represent this class in a form of string, and same as with the driver. So let's override toString method. Okay, we are good to go. Now let's run the program, and you will see that we have a car named BMW, and this car has 2 passengers with the name Aziz and Rahul, and then we have one driver. Now let's try to destroy this car. And how are we going to destroy this car? We are simply assign null to this object, null. Okay. Now after destroying the car, let's try to print the passenger and driver on the screen. So let's print passenger 1, passenger 2 and driver. Okay, let's run the program. Now we will see that let's print car also on the screen. Now let's run the program. Now you will see that the car is completely destroyed, but the passenger and driver still exist, which means that we have learned that a part can exist without the whole. So that is why passenger and driver still exist and still surviving regardless of the car gets destroyed. Okay, and the passenger and driver has its own life cycle, so we can create an instance of passenger separately and destroying it separately, and we can also create an instance of driver separately and we can destroy an object of driver separately. So okay, so that is why we call this type of relationship as weaker relationship. So guys, I hope now you understood what is aggregation relationship and how it works, and how we can model aggregation relationship using objects in object-oriented programming. This is all from my side for this video. If you like this video, then hit the like button in order to make YouTube algorithm happy. Please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click the bell icon so my friend you never miss any upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.